Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jess. This is Zoe. This is Janet. This is Nori. We are 4 out of 5 members of the Novel Bunch, and we are here to discuss, finally, our February's book club pick, Just One Damn Thing After Another by Jodi Taylor.
My copy's upstairs.
Chronicles of St. Mary's series, and this was a ride. I will say that. And without further ado, I'm going to hand off to the lovely Nori. Just a side note, if anyone is interested in what we're going to be reading this year, you can find it all in the description, as well as a link to our 2021 playlist and our 2022 playlist for all of our live streams. I've been busy this afternoon. You can also find all of our 2021 reads as well in the description, as well as all of our social media links. So yes, without further ado, Nori, take it away.
This is a book that I read.
That's very
Technically,
true.
I didn't read it. I got the audiobook because I was having a weird time with words.
But I have stuff to say about the audiobook. Carry on.
This is a book. It is the first in the series. It is a lot. I'm just going to give my star rating and quick review of it just right now, just so you guys get the impression of what this book is. So I gave it 3 stars. It's like, this book goes at a breakneck pace. I really wish it would slow down because it is an hilarious read. And it poses a very important question. Which branch of academia is the horniest? We will be answering that question tonight.
I've got another question that we should try and answer. I think Zoe might know what it is, but you can finish.
I know what it is.
Hosseini.
Oh, we didn't do the thing!
Didn't do the thing. Never mind.
Oh, next time.
That's a 3. This book was fun. I really wish it was 3 books instead of 1 book. Just because it packs so much in. We will, when we get to the spoiler zone, we'll probably talk about everything it packs in here. Like, it's like, you know those giant sandwiches that Shaggy and Scooby make in Scooby-Doo? They're like, it's still just 1 sandwich. It's like, yeah, but no. It could be at least 5 or 6 sandwiches.
Yeah.
At least 5 or 6 sandwiches. But for some reason, I still weirdly enjoyed it. And I would like to hear what you'll find people have to say. I don't know why I'm still holding it. It's quite pretty, the edition I have.
Yeah, you've got a much nicer copy than Janet and I have got.
I've got
this £2.50 edition. So
mine's
free
upstairs.
library.
What an
I think I
idiot.
got this a couple quid at a charity shop.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Just an age ago.
Oh God, my earphones.
What order do we want to go in? Do we want to go me, Zoe, Janet? I don't mind.
Yeah. Janet first, then you, then Zoe. So then it goes like a clock.
Like a clock.
Or, from what I'm watching, it might be going anti-clockwise for the people at home.
Like a clock.
So is it me next?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So I have many thoughts. I was the same. I gave it 3 stars. What saved it from being a 2-star was the humor and the sarcasm. That was great. Loved it. If it was just based on that, probably would have given it like 5 stars for effort, you know, for the funniness. That's not a word, but we're rolling with it. I both loved and hated how fast it went. I don't know why I wasn't like fully expecting it to be that fast paced when it is literally on the cover. This is so true.
Yeah.
Like, they're not kidding. But yeah, it was just, I think it would have been better if they focused on like 1 or 2 things. So like, again, we'll go into this later. So maybe focus on the beginning and the build up and the world building in a way of the, I was going to say the school. It's not a school. The St. Mary's.
I thought it was a school.
Yeah. Like that would have been nice. Like one of the not the genres, but like one of the things I like in books is some kind of competition. Think Throne of Glass, if you've read it. So like the first book is a competition. What's the word I'm looking for? Not genre.
A tournament, basically.
Tournament. Yeah, I like that. And I was kind of expecting it in this because they're going for the job or whatever. And then it's kind of I don't know, it just jumps in time suddenly. I mean, yeah, we can go into this later, but it's like a long period of time that it covers, and it doesn't feel like much time has passed, and that was a bit jarring. And also, obviously, time travel is a thing. It would have been nice if it just focused on like the main event being in one period of time. Another example, this is something I kept thinking about while I was reading this. You might see the stack of books here. This is a time travel series I read when I was a teenager. They're called Time Riders. I would get them out, but I'm not going to. But it's by Alex Garrow. There are 9 books in this series. Each of them focus on a different period in time. That is how you do it, so it's not confusing.
There are also 9 books in this series, and I'm like,
there's 10.
what the hell are they putting into the others?
It's 10. It's a short story.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was a bit like there was just too much going on, and I found it sometimes kind of confusing. And my question that I would like to have answered in this chat is, who the hell is Lucy?
Who's Lucy? Well,
I can answer that.
So can we? So we think we can.
We've started a discussion already, but we're going to throw it to the.
We'll throw it out there.
Today, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I can answer
I
that.
will need refreshing on who the hell Lucy is.
It's not a spoiler. I was going to say, it's not a spoiler, it's
not
just a nickname. It's just a nickname. I think I'm
Yeah,
guessing it's based on Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. That's where I'm guessing it's from.
It is. We did an analysis.
We did.
Yeah.
Even Googled it.
We did. I even screen recorded an article.
Can confirm. But yeah.
Oh,
There we are.
I remember now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have to say basically.
Okay. So I think this is going to be one of our more concise and like agreed upon books, because I also gave it 3 stars. I was airing, it's probably more like a 3.5, but I put it as 3 on Goodreads. I've literally finished it in the last half hour. And I've just read 12 chapters at 2 times speed on the audiobook, which I have thoughts about the audiobook. It's not well produced. But I did enjoy this book, like overall. The more I got into it, the more I enjoyed it. I know a lot of us were saying that we struggled to like find the impetus to pick it up, but whether it's because I knew that we were coming on really quickly on here and I was just like, I have to finish it, or because I was actually enjoying where the story was going, I actually found the impetus to read it actually once I got past about chapter 7, like really easy to continue it. The characters were a little bit forgettable. There were so many of them that when they were unalived, it didn't have the emotional impact that I would have liked. And I think there was just so much going on that it's difficult to form any emotional attachment. But I do appreciate what Jodi Taylor has been trying to do with this. Like, she's tried to pack so much into a 400-page book, and it literally is just one damn thing after another. And history is just one event after another. And these characters are literally disaster magnets, and I think that's why I like them. There are a couple that I really, really loved. Farrell being one of them. I love him so much. And yeah, I do agree with you guys that it would have been better if it stuck to one period, because it kind of felt like the plot was moving at breakneck speed, that it stopped. Then it was moving at breakneck speed, and then it stopped. And then it was going again and stopped. And I was just like, this could have done with another structural edit, and I think it would have been like a 4 easily. That's what took it down for me to a 3, was the pacing of everything, and the fact that new stuff just kept getting brought in and new conflicts brought in, and it was just a bit messy overall. But I did enjoy it, and I would like to continue the series, but I won't be buying them. I'm definitely going to continue doing it through the library if I can. But yeah, slightly forgettable characters, too much going on, but enjoyable, sarcastic, very, very witty banter, and that's what saved it for me. Zoe.
First off, as a disclaimer, I'm sorry if I cough and blow my nose and everything. I have COVID. Joy. So apologies for that in advance, and also for looking horrendous.
You don't. You look beautiful.
I'm should have done what I did. Talk from the void.
Just talk from the void. I know. I also gave it 3. So is that all of us 3? What did Mariette give it?
I think she gave it 3 as well.
Did she give it 3? Look at us.
Oh, is this our first book where we're all in agreement?
Yeah.
Apart
Let's
from
have a first.
Bone Crier's Moon, we were
Oh,
all
yeah.
pretty in agreement for that. But I don't know if it was the same star rating.
No,
I
I
think,
think
I think I gave Bone Criers a 2.
I gave it a 2.
I think I gave it a 2.
2.5, but I gave it a 3 on Goodreads, but it's dropping in my estimations.
So yes, I think we are. All of us have given this one 3. I don't know. I liked it to a degree, but it's also taken me so long to read it because I just didn't want to pick it up. And I think for me, that's quite a big indicator of how I feel about a book if I'm not like wanting to read it. It was really, really fast paced, but for me, I quite enjoy that because my brain works quite quickly. So I sometimes do prefer it when a book is actually a lot faster. So the speed of the pacing of the book didn't bother me that much. And the sarcasm in it was fantastic. I'm such a sarky person that just really, really did make it. I thought the story was all right. Like there's quite there's a good concept of a story. Like it's quite a clever idea, the whole going back in time. It took me a while to readjust my mind because I thought it was a school and I thought she was going in to be a teacher. So when she was being introduced to everyone, I was like, but where are the students? And it took me a while to readjust. I was so convinced St. Mary's was a school. I had full on St. Trinian's vibes going on. That when it wasn't a school, I was like, okay, I have to rethink this now. What is it? And again, she did pack so much into it. I think because she's written so many books, I'm not on the series. I'm not sure she needed, like Nori said, like this one could have been 3 books in itself. I'm not sure it needed to have so much in the initial book. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite book I've ever read. It was all right. And I found some of the characters really annoying. I found some of them all right. It was just one of those books that you read and you're like, yeah, that was all right. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's just a good book. It's all right. I don't want to read the rest of them. I'm quite content with leaving it where it is. So yeah, I gave it 3. It was all right. Some of it didn't make sense, and also Goodreads did not follow where I was at with it at all, and that annoyed me. But yeah, that's it.
Cool.
So, everybody has said their thoughts. Hooray! I'm looking over my notes, and they are they're just random points that I've made.
I mean, dude, that's better than my notes because mine are literally just like, oh, this page and half of this page has been moved to this page, and it's just like my audiobook was not in order.
I made no notes, so
me neither.
That's my input.
One of the notes that I wrote was a quote from the book that I thought somebody might pick up on this one. I was just like, that does not sound right. Just because as a writer, I'm a stickler for anyone using the same word or similar words in the same sentence or in 2 very close sentences. But this one just got under my skin. It's ghostly figures appeared and disappeared like ghosts.
Yeah, I noticed that, and it knocked me a little bit.
So that's the only quote I've pulled from the book. It's really, some of it is really well written. The dialogue particularly. The love of tea that they all have.
It's very British.
It's like I would settle right at home here if it wasn't just so chaotic. But when ghostly figures appear and disappear like ghosts, it's sort of like that's the point of ghostly figures.
Yeah. You'd be surprised if it did not happen.
Yeah. Trying to think. How did everyone feel about the main character? I can't remember her name.
Max.
Or Lucy.
I quite liked Max. Generally speaking, I didn't find her that irritating. I was like, okay, cool. I'm kind of just fine. Not my favorite, but like as far as main characters go, pretty solid. all right. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
I kind of found that sometimes she could be a little bit neither here nor there. But other times she was on fire. She was so funny.
Yeah.
She was so sarcastic. And when she really stand, she took a stand and she didn't take any shit from anyone. And I really respected her. I loved her as a character. But the way she handled certain tropes with Max really knocked me off, like the miscommunication trope. We'll talk about that in the spoiler section, no doubt. But that really knocked me. And just her inability to share, and given how long she's been at St. Mary's, you would think by now that she would be able to like talk to people. And the discussion of how long she'd been there, like in the audiobook it was giving me set years, but it was different on page, and sometimes there weren't even set years that she'd been there, and I was just like, well, what timeline are we working with here?
Yeah, all of a sudden she'd been there for 5 years. It's like, oh, has she?
Where did the time go?
Yeah.
Literally.
I was like, 1 year? Okay. Oh no, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that on top of that, the fact that they say that, oh, you're a disaster everywhere you go, it's like, but nothing's happened. But then, oh, she must, because she's been there 5 years, so stuff must have happened that's given her this label, but we don't see any of it.
To be fair, they're all disaster magnets. Literally, it just comes with a job. I at some points I did really, really like her. Like when she was basically putting 2 fingers up to whoever was treating her poorly and just basically going, right, up yours, I'm doing what I want. I really, really liked her, but sometimes I was just like, for God's sake, woman, like, no.
Yeah, 100%. I think I agree with you. I liked her to a degree. I really enjoyed her sarcasm, and I thought she was quite funny. But then other times I found her a little bit annoying, and also kind of going from what you said, Jess. We get all this kind of build up from the very beginning about this incredibly troubled past she's had that's affecting her in every single way, and it's made to be such a thing. Like, oh, when are we going to find out what happened to Max? Because it's made to be such a such a characteristic of her, as if it's when a story, half of the story is their past, and they kind of and the whole build up of it is then you kind of find out about it later. That didn't happen. It was like all this stuff happened to Max in the past, and her childhood was so traumatic, and this, that, and the other. And I've spent so much of my life like suffocating it and repressing it. I'm like, okay, cool. So when are we going to find out what it's about? Why has it led you to here? And we never find anything about it. It just kind of gets brushed aside. It's like, oh,
it's sequel bait, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like at the end of Bone Cries with the introduction of that random character right at the end to go, sequel fodder.
Sequel bait.
Yeah, literally.
So I think she was all right. She was I found her a little bit annoying at times. I didn't quite I don't think anyone relates to that kind of character, but she was just kind of there, I didn't really connect to her in any kind of way. I liked her though, and I thought her sarcasm was brilliant, her attitude was great, and I actually think she gets a bit of a rough end of it with everyone saying that she's this disaster thing and no one wants to work with her. I'm like, but why? She's cool.
Yeah, but then also everybody does want to work with her by the end.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, she was kind of just,
a contradiction.
Yeah, she's like, I'd spend time with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else spoiler free to say.
Okay. We're
Because there
entering
is a
the
lot I want
spoiler
to get into.
zone. Bear with me. I'm just going to edit this if I can. Nah,
To be honest, not much of the book is really kind of spoilery. Nothing really kind of massive happens of a spoiler.
Yeah, I mean the villain is even discussed in the dramatis personae at the beginning. You know who the villain is going to be.
The what?
As soon as I said,
there's the characters.
That thing. Yeah.
As soon as I saw the word villain, I was just like, I don't know what to know who it is.
Actually, it's not a dramatis personae. It's a dramatis theme gummy.
Yeah.
I find these annoying actually. It's similar to when there's a map at the front of a book because I constantly feel like I suddenly don't trust myself to remember people. So I have to flick back. If there isn't one, obviously you just remember them, don't you? But when there's a list of characters, you're like, oh, who is that? I need to go back to my list.
I didn't have time. The audiobook was going so quickly that I couldn't physically flip back. But now I'm going to.
Yeah, I think I went back to it at the end. I kind of looked at it and I was like, okay, cool. I don't think I got so far as to see who the bad guy was.
Oh man, when did the horse come in? Who's Turk?
Yeah, I've just seen Turk the horse, officially a horse.
Officially a horse. Who was Turk?
The only horse I remember is the one that is at the beginning when it, the first sort of proper mission. I don't know.
Oh, the First World War.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When she
probably.
got recovered.
Yeah. But I love it at the end. It's plus assorted armies, raptors, stonemasons, and hostile contemporaries, too numerous to mention.
I like her little opening. I made all this up. Historians and physicists, please don't spit on me in the street.
Where's that? Oh, yeah.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Love it.
Right, Nori, take it away, hon.
So, I have many questions.
Go
And by
for
that
it.
I mean random statements. First, did this book predict COVID?
Literally, that was my thought reading it.
As there is a point where the character called the Chief, I think it's Chief Farrell,
Yeah.
he's from the future. He comes back in time because I think his wife, 2 children, and grandmother.
Oh, no, his wife left him, and then his
wife
kids
left
and
him.
His kids and their grandma died of the flu.
I remember that. I think I messaged someone saying, Was it you, Nori?
Yeah.
Saying this book predicted COVID.
Because it's a new kind of flu that is very fast acting and is very easily catchable. And I'm like, hang on a second.
This book predicted COVID by 7 years.
Yes,
Maybe
you
Jodi
heard
Taylor
it
was
here
responsible.
first.
Yeah, look, the 28th of February. Are we ignoring the fact that Jodi Taylor predicted COVID in her book? That's one of my notes.
One of my notes. I don't have many notes, but that's one of them.
Love it.
That's just a fun thing that this book predicted COVID.
Love it.
Love the COVID
The
life.
next things is that many people die in this book.
Oh my god, so unnecessarily many.
Oh, unnecessarily many. We have a character whose name I can't remember, who's like one of the
helpful.
senior historians.
Are they right at the beginning, aren't they? Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is,
Let me look at the dramatic thingamy. That's the trainees. Catherine, Markham, Whistle, Dave. No, he's not listed. But yes.
because he dies. Basically,
Yes.
we don't know him. He
Aw.
dies instantly, and then the person who was with him decides to leave as well. That is 2 characters gone.
Yep.
From what we know so far.
It's right at the beginning, isn't it? She says, doesn't she, there's 12 of us, and then how wrong could I have been, or something like that.
There are 12 trainees,
Mm.
which only 3 of them actually get to trying to do the job.
Mm.
So many are just bitch smacked to the wind.
Look at it
So
like
technically 4 graduate and then one of them dies.
Mm.
I don't. Yeah.
4 get to the graduation sort of task. One of them, after completing it, says, "No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Nah, and leaves. Then one of them dies on his very first mission, which is Grant. And I
Grant.
cried
Oh, yeah, I liked
because
him.
he seemed like such a sweetie pie,
Mm.
and the fact that I was still rooting for him and the girl he was with, who decided that she couldn't handle it after finishing and graduating.
Mm.
I
'Cause he
was
died.
rooting for them, but then he died.
Yeah, chapter
Yeah.
4 is what came next was a reality check. We had 2 deaths in the first 2 weeks as a historian.
Yeah.
Linda Black. No, she
Yeah, Cal stays alive.
she stay?
Yeah, she stays
He
alive.
stays, but then leaves later on when there's the big uprising coup
Oh,
from
yeah.
Barclay.
Okay, so the history department wasn't anything like as large as it should be. We were established with 12 historians, but until we'd graduated, they'd been limping along with just 4. Anne-Marie Lauer and Tom Baverstock were senior historians, and Tim Peterson
Yeah.
and Calinda Black. So it was Anne-Marie and Tom Baverstock. Baverstock.
Yeah, I don't even remember them.
Tavistock,
Yeah.
Baverstock.
Tom dies. Anne Marie goes, I can't do this without Tom. We're
Oh yeah.
I
best
do not remember
people in
either
love."
of
The
them.
amount of people who fall in love with each other at this job is like, is there no one else?
Mm.
I mean, when you're going through all these life and death scenarios, you're going to get close to people. Sussman.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But just the high pace of like introducing all these characters, which I really wish this book was like 3 different books. I know sort of where I would split it as well.
Mm.
But the first book being more about their training and like getting to know all the other trainees and getting to see how until like they graduate, and
The
the end of the
mechanics.
first book being
Yeah.
that first mission in like the fire with the allies and in the war
Mm.
right there. Then second book we move on to the dinosaurs,
Mm.
Woo!
which
Can
I
I
just
just
really
say,
like the dinosaurs, but
I like the
part of
dinosaurs.
my mind was going, are we crossing into paleontology now?
yes, it's no longer archaeology. It's
No longer
Paleontology,
paleontology.
rock color.
history.
It's paleontology right up until the invent of writing, and then it becomes archaeology.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
prehistory technically.
Much history.
There's so much goes on.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to just quickly give a rundown of the plot of what I remember of it, and then we
Go
can
for it.
chime in as we go.
Go
Yep.
for it. Whatever you like.
Okay, so I'm going off the top of my head from what I remember of this book many weeks after reading it.
Like I said, I finished it an hour ago, so I will chip in.
Join in. So, start Max. Madeline Maxwell goes, she's getting a job at this place. She's great at history. Someone said, go to this place, you'll be great at it, you'll get a good job. It was her former head teacher at school. She's like, okay. And they keep saying, oh, she hasn't had the interview yet. She hasn't had the full interview yet. Because this place deals with time travel. Actual time travel with time traveling pods. Which they state that someone brought back from the future, so then they would have it. So then like, well, who actually invented the pods? It's like, no one tries to think about it. You will be driven insane.
Literally, yeah.
There are many different groups in this big place called St. Mary's, which is basically a research institute. So there's like the engineers, there's the IT people, and there's the historians, and there's like faculty and staff. And they all are grumpy at each other because they're like, we're the best. It's like, no, we're the best. But
Academics,
Max
am I right?
is training to be a historian. So one of the people who actually gets to travel back in time. And she's pretty good at it. And she doesn't like one of the teachers named Barclay, who's one of the worst. Thinks the sun revolves around herself. And is said to look a little bit like Max, but like not. I think they're both redheads,
Oh yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, when I was reading the description of Max, I was sort of picturing Jess in my mind. It's like, history,
But also it says, Max, you are not 5'7". Please take it off your resume. And I'm just suddenly like, mood.
It's like, who does that? She's trained to be a historian. She does all the training and things, and people are some people leave before they even start the training because they've realised, oh my goodness, I don't want to travel back in time. One guy is, because they have to do an exam each week, which is dumb. One guy is not getting the right grade, so they're like, you need to go, you're not getting the right grades. He's like, okay, and everyone's sad. Then there's four of them left.
I think so.
And they have to go on this sort of survival thing where they go in, they're like driven on buses and dropped off somewhere.
That was so funny.
All of them cheat.
Which is expected.
Yeah.
Which is
The
100%
entire point.
expected, which is one of my favourite things.
And it's to test their ability to lie.
Yeah. to lie, cheat, and get away with absolutely everything.
Yeah.
My favourite is the couple who store mobile phones on their respective buses beforehand,
Yeah.
so that they could call each other and go, "Where are you?" It's like, "I'm here. Meet you at the nearest hotel."
Yeah.
And they're just fucked for 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, no. Very horny book.
Yeah.
Academia, man.
Unexpectedly. So,
What can we say? It's
then-
academia.
and then it goes forward. They're on their final thing to graduate. They get into these little pods, which are then sent back in time. They have to sit there for a bit, just chilling, and then go back. But then, oh no, something goes wrong with the pod. And they have to work out, like, what are they going to do? But Max is like, well, they're not going to let me die here, so I'm just going to chill out. I've got enough food and water to last me X amount of days. I can ration it out. It'll be all good. And surprise, surprise, after the X amount of days that she thought, this is how long my stuff will last, the pod turns back on and she's able to go back. When she goes back, she finds out that one of them hit the emergency bring me home button, something's wrong, immediately. One of them stayed for a little bit. One of them also did something else.
Got bored, came home.
Got bored, came home. And the other female, which I was very sad about, that there was 2 ladies who got there. One of them left because she just couldn't handle it when the thing broke. So she left. And then there's 3 of them, and they graduated. Sussman, Grant, and Max. So they've graduated. Hooray! This is a quarter of the way into the book.
Yeah, I
Not
think-
even that.
Not
Yeah.
even a quarter. Like a good fifth. This is the first fifth of the book.
It's like the first 4 chapters
Yeah,
Yeah.
first 4 chapters.
of 18.
Yeah. That's about... Where are we? That's about this much.
Yeah.
Now they are all official historians.
Woo!
And they're going to start doing missions with more senior historians. But they're not allowed to yet, because there's not many historians to go around. But the first one who gets to go on a mission is going on a mission to some sort of riot in Rome? Something?
No, it's in Manchester, I think. It's Peterloo riots in the
Peterloo
1800s.
riots. Some sort of riots at some point. in
Working
time.
class rising up against the upper classes, basically demanding better
Right.
living conditions.
So they're going to go watch some riots and work out what's going on. But either Sussman or Max are picked, even though they're sort of the better, the sort of top of the class ones. Grant is chosen because that's closer hit to his area of expertise. And during that, he dies. He dies very, very harshly off screen. I think the word is sword and
Something
head
like that.
sliced in half.
And brains
I remember.
everywhere.
Brains
Yeah.
everywhere. And that is one of the characters that you've grown to love.
In a
You've already
very
seen
short
someone
space of
else die. But that's like a character that was like, oh, there's these people. But then, no, dead.
Yeah.
So, that we're still going. So,
We're not even remotely close to like
not even
halfway yet.
remotely
No, I think we're
So
going to
now-
have to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah. Now, one of their contemporaries is dead, and they're like, "Oh no, but not really. We knew that death was a part of this, but we are sad." But oh look, now we get to go on missions because we're the only ones available. We're now down to four historians overall, which are the time traveling people, and then they go off to World War One, World War One, to see why a hospital burns down, because no one knows why it burnt down or how it burnt down. They just know it burnt down. So they're there. They're hanging out for, I think, like a week
They're there for
also,
a few weeks,
in-
aren't they?
in this time, between the time that they know the last communication from the hospital was and the time when they know that the wreckage of the hospital was found. So they start at the start and they're working their way through. And it's just a nice chill time until Max goes to get something from a linen cupboard at night and the hospital is burning down. They're like, oh no, the hospital is burning down. So they start trying to help people as much as possible. And Max and... I can't remember her name now.
Cal.
Max and Cal are helping people, making sure they get out as quickly as possible. They're both like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. They come back to the pod and Sussman is there. Just going, oh my goodness, you're both okay.
Why are you okay?
Which was the first red flag.
Also, because he told Max to go to the cupboard, and then there's the explosion. So it's like,
He was often telling Max, oh, could you get something from that cupboard? Because he knew, it's like, spoiler, but also spoiler zone. We find out later on that he knew exactly where the thing would be.
Because he planted it.
He planted it. He burnt down that hospital. And he was just waiting for it to go off. And
kill Max.
He's been trying to kill Max. So then they get back. And they're a bit grumpy with Sussman, going, why didn't you do anything? He's like, I was just doing what's in the manual. They're like, okay, fine. Then they just keep doing missions. Years pass in the flick of a page. And
literally.
Can we just say that also, the horniness really kicks up from this point.
Oh yeah, the horniness kicks up a notch because Max has been having this ongoing flirtation with the chief engineer, that's his title and his name, Chief Farrell, and it's been going on for a while, and it just keeps heating up, and it's just like, please get a room. They don't get a room.
They do get a room at a hotel.
They don't get a room, but they do get a car.
They get a car bonnet and a lay-by.
Yes, but first they get a car bonnet.
Before that they have the room, and then they get the car bonnet.
Yeah, but they don't do anything in the room.
Yeah,
no.
They get a room, decide we're not room people, and then we're modes of transportation people. Both
we're gonna crash and then do it.
Yeah, they crash the car.
Yeah.
And they have sex on the car, which weirdly graphic.
All of this after Max has gone back to the Cretaceous. Sussman has died in the Cretaceous, and then she's made her way back.
Let's rewind a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Max and Sussman are given their favourite thing because they're both very early historians, almost like paleontologists. Like,
no, they're not.
This like
No. Get your facts right. Nowhere near.
There is nothing to do with facts right in this book.
Yeah,
as an actual historian, the Greeks are nowhere near the dinosaurs. Get it right.
Yeah, but they're like, we like all the ancient stuff, but we also like dinosaurs. It's like, who doesn't like dinosaurs? So they get an assignment to go and watch dinosaurs for like, is it like many months?
3 months.
3 months. They're gonna go watch dinosaurs and check on them. But during that time,
check on them.
Yeah, just check on them. Just watch them, catalog everything. During that time, and about it's right at the end. Got like a few weeks left.
There's like 2 weeks left, I think.
Yeah. 2 weeks or so left. Sussman gets real weird. He escalates a series of behaviors that we do not know about until they escalate. Trigger warning for descriptions of sexual assault.
Yeah.
Because
attempted sexual assault.
And attempted murder, I guess.
Oh yeah. Attempted sexual assault. Attempted murder. He gets ripped apart by some rat. After he has been accepting money from the bad guys who have a dinosaur hunting pen set up on the other side of the ridge that they were going to go look at that day.
It's basically if Jurassic Park: The Lost World actually had time travel.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park: The Lost World with time travel and a guy who thinks he's entitled to you just because you spend time together, and he's a man. One of my notes is Sussman is the worst. There's at least 5 O's in that. And even in science fiction academia, men still credit and sexually harass. So Sussman is the worst. He is killed by dinosaurs because he's sliced open by some people, and then the dinosaurs come and eat him. And it was a bit of like a moment where I was like, So I was like, I quite like Sussman, and what the frick are you doing, man? I liked you, and oh my goodness, he's been eaten by dinosaurs, but oh no, he was betraying everyone anyway.
Yeah.
There are layers.
Like,
there are layers, and every layer just shows more mold.
Yeah.
But then after the dinosaurs, she's like, I'm so sad. This happened. and like all this stuff, and then they're like, well, look at this camera footage we got from the pods. It's like, if you could see the camera footage, why didn't you go back and help? So they're like, look at all this camera footage. It's like,
well, no, they only saw it after she got back. That's how they found it.
It's like, this is not good. And it's just like, oh, we need to go save the dinosaurs, because the dinosaurs stuff is happening on the other side of the ridge that they were going to check out. And then, because the outside camera has audio. So they all pile into some pods.
We should say by this point, we're at the 50% mark.
Yeah, this is halfway through the book. And I can't remember if it's at this point where we get the fun scene on the car bonnet.
Yes.
Well, it's after that, because they've just done a presentation with like the hologram thing with all the dinosaurs, haven't they? That Thirst.
Yeah.
We should point out that St. Mary's do all this secretly. And no one knows about them, and they do it all kind of under the line for a university called Thirst. So Thirst get the glory, St. Mary's get the money, but they're all kind of like an underground operation, effectively. So they've gone to Thirsk and done this presentation of all the holograms and everyone. It's like a whole new type of technology, and then they crash the car. Nori, continue.
Yes. Then they crash the car because a suggestive statement is made, and then they decide, well, while we're here, why not have completely unreasonable sex in a lay-by?
Yeah.
So that happens. And then they decide, well, there's something we need to go save these dinosaurs because someone's exploiting the dinosaurs. Because we learnt that somehow. So they decide to make a crack squad.
Oh, because she goes back in time with Dieta, and then they see it.
Oh yeah, they go
something.
with, one of the engineers. Just go.
Dieter.
Well, everyone's arguing. Dieter. Everyone's arguing about like who's the best. Why don't you all just come back to the past and I'll show you the past, and then you'll go, oh wow, the past is awesome. Why don't we all just have fun time traveling together? Hooray! But during that, they find that some bad stuff is happening to the dinosaurs because there's a pen with dinosaur killing. I've said this, but they're like exotic sport hunters, but they're hunting dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs are put into like little pens, so it's easy for them to kill them. Which is like, if you're going to do something for sport, at least make it challenging for yourself. Running. It needs to involve some form of running or physical movement. If you're standing still with a gun, it's not sport. But they go, oh no, the dinosaurs are in trouble. So they decide to put together some crack teams and go back and do a nighttime raid and save all the dinosaurs. But during that, everything goes wrong. The blast that's meant to like, there's a, it's
EMP, electromagnetic pulse.
Electromagnetic pulse goes off, and it's like, oh yeah, that will like disable the cages for the dinosaurs, but don't worry, it will just make them auto lock. So it won't be able to unlock at all. No, it makes the cages open. So all these very upset dinosaurs go around killing people.
As they do.
Yes, which the person who made the EMP knew full well, which is Barclay, because she's also evil. Did I mention Barclay, who's like one of the teachers, who's the head of the IT people, also not a good person, been giving information to the bad people because she's jealous because she wants to hook up with the chief. And he's like, no, thank you. And she's like, well, why not? I'm basically a better version of Max. And he's like, yeah, but you're also a bitch. So then dinosaurs wreak havoc. Many people die. They get most of them back into the pods, but I think Farrell, is it Dieter as well?
No, Farrell,
Peterson, Markham, and
several people, including Farrell.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, four of the besties.
Yeah.
Four of the best people, but not like the guy who's in charge. He's just very unwell because he's got attacked or shot or something. Have gotten stuck in the dinosaur place
on purpose by Barclay.
They were left behind.
They were purposely left behind by Barclay, who said, "Oh no, they're all dead." And Max is like, "Wait a second, how would she know?" that like this person. She didn't know that that person wasn't in my pod because they were meant to be in my pod with me. And then she's like, we should go back for them. This is what we don't leave people behind. We need to go back for them. And Buckley's like, no, this is all your fault. You're fired. And I'm going to banish you from here like some weird oligarch. Get out. We're not even letting you take your stuff home.
Good use of the word oligarch.
Yeah. She's just, Max is then just shoved out the door.
Pregnant.
But we don't
Pregnant.
know that yet.
We don't know.
No,
that
but
yet.
And that she abandons all actual protocols of dismissal for a member of staff.
Yeah, because she's in charge now because someone is ill and someone is stuck in the Cretaceous.
Very Scar of Pride Rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If I was in charge of where I worked just because someone was ill and someone else was stuck in the Cretaceous, that's not how it goes. They would shut the shop. They wouldn't leave me in charge. No. Max is shoved out the door into the streets of the town that's nearby because she can't bear the idea of fully leaving. She becomes essentially homeless for a long while. She lives in like the worst flat ever because she has no money. She has no... What has she been doing for the last 5 to 10 years? There's no real time frame.
yeah.
There's a big gap on her resume. What's going on? So she's like stuck in this tiny flat. And then she gets ill. She doesn't know why she's ill. So then she goes to the doctors and they're like, oh, you've had a very serious miscarriage. She's like, wait, the what? Because she didn't know she was pregnant. Which she was pregnant with the baby of Chief Farrell because they've been hooking up all over the place since that car bonnet incident. Because they are in love. But then she's
They
really
went
sad.
Mediterranean 5,000 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Multiple times.
Yes. And then she's like, really sad. But then she runs into her old headmistress, who we all forgot about. And by we, I mean me when I was reading this. I was like, wait, who the what? It's like, oh, it's her old headmistress. Oh, she wrote a thing at the beginning. Oh, that's nice. She's going to help out. She's like, yeah, I know all about the time travel shenanigans. My sister works there. It's like, who's your sister? It's like, oh, it's the assistant, the guy who's in charge. It's like, what, that mean person? It's like, yeah. So then she's like, oh, here's some of your stuff. We managed to get it for you. And she's like, oh, this Trojan horse that the chief made me. He said to never leave it. It's like, I know it. It's like, and then they talk about like the butt of the Trojan horse. So like, oh yeah, people came out the butt of the Trojan horse. It's like, no, probably, maybe. She's like, oh, there's a tiny pinhole here. Let's stab it with a pin like a reset button. Then the horse springs open, and inside is the remote to a pod which belongs to Chief Farrell, which he's like customed out with all the latest gadgets and whatnot, and customed it so much that you could just click the button and it comes to you. So now she has a pod. She can go back to the past. She saves the guys from the Cretaceous. She goes back. They go, hey, Berkeley,
Stands up to
what
a
up?
T-Rex.
Get the hell out of here. They saved the day, and we're not done. That is 2/3.
Sorry to interrupt. You know what this reminds me of? The classic horrible histories.
Bob Hale.
But not for long.
Yeah, Bob Hale.
And everything's fine, but not for long, because they bring back a dying pine cone.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, do you know what this means? And I was reading it going, no.
Yeah.
I don't. And then I'm like, if things are going to die or be destroyed, we can bring them here because it doesn't affect the timeline. It's like, are you sure? They're like, yes. So then they decide to go back in time and save stuff that's on the verge of destruction. And their first port of call, yes, Zoe.
Wait, you missed out the massive stand-up they do to Bark. Did you do that
Oh,
bit?
yeah.
Where she's like, what, you mean the guys that are behind you? And
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. They pull us up where it's like, Barbie's like, they're dead. It's like, they're not dead. They're right there. And everyone's like, what? And then it turns out like half the people in the thing left and then came back for the big sort of like, it's like, we're kicking you out.
You can imagine it to like some really cool soundtrack.
Oh,
reverse
but then, oh, I forgot something. So then, this bit, this is the fun bit. Barclay finds out because she's in a hospital bed next to Max, who is discussing the miscarriage and all of this stuff. And then Barclay tells the chief
Farrell.
and this other horrible guy from
Works with a
from the
mop.
thing, the horrible guy says, I'll then try and have sex with Max right now. It's like, how much sexual harassment is there? There's lots. But then the chief gets all annoyed because she didn't tell him. And he had to learn from Buckley, and he's convinced it was Sussman's baby. It's like, dude, he's like, you're the worst. I hate you. I never want to see you again. I'm like, dude, calm the frick down.
Yeah.
But then he's nice again when she explains her plan for like, let's go save the Library of Alexandria, because that's the best place to start when you're just starting this new thing. Where it's like, we've discovered we can bring dying things back. Let's start with the Library of Alexandria.
Start small.
Yeah, start small. Or someone does suggest dodos, which I'm like, yes, please. 5.
Yep.
Just let me cuddle them.
Yeah, but to be fair, if Primeval taught us anything, that's not a good idea.
Bring back dodo. Oh, I remember Primeval. Sorry, don't get me distracted. I'm still going through. So they decide to go save the Library of Alexandria. It takes a while for them to get ready. They're like, we're getting all the stuff. We're working out how to seal the pots with stuff that they would be made at the time. So then when the when the first crew, that's the university, when the university crew dig it up with some explorers, and it's like, it's going to be like made sure that it's both countries working together, so no one could go, we call dibs on this for a country where it does not live. So when they find it, it's like all historically accurate, and no one can call bullshit on it. So they're like, yes, let's do this, we're all ready. They get back, the library's burning, they save some stuff, but then, oh my goodness, the evil guy shows up. The evil guy who has not really been mentioned until like a good 2/3 of the way through. There's suddenly the big bad. It's like, who the hell are you? And apparently he's friends with some of the people, but then his girlfriend died because they were all historians. Of course she died. It's like, why do you hate people? My girlfriend died. That's the answer to everything in this book.
Yeah, literally.
So then he shows up and he kills several people. Just like one of them being a cute little lamb I wanted to get to know, who was like, always had burnt off eyebrows because he was experimenting with explosives. It's like, I want to party with that dude, and boom, dead.
He's basically
He's like,
Seamus
got
Finnegan.
like 2 mentions in the book at the beginning and when he died.
He's literally Seamus.
But then there's another big explosion, and they managed to like get loads of people out and sort of save the day, sort of. And I can't remember how it ends.
Then Max thinks she's broken her arm.
Or that she's lost her arm.
Yeah, she's just
Max
like,
thinks she's lost her arm. Turns out she didn't. Barclay's there because she escaped.
Yeah.
And not escaped, the chief let her out.
And she tried to kill Max.
It's like, oh no.
But then, this is the bit that I don't get, is that Max is then like hallucinating sort of thing. And she sees, is it
it's
her
Mrs.
head
Partridge.
mistress? Yeah.
Mrs. Partridge,
Yeah, the
who's
PA.
the assistant, and she's like, "Oh my god, you're
She's
the
also the
muse
muse
of
of
history.
history.
Like Zeus's daughter." And I was like, 5 steps back, please. When did we
Yeah.
introduce the Greek gods as canon?
yeah.
Literally. I thought this was just like a time travel science fiction. I didn't realize that the Greek lexicon was real.
And then Sybil's Sibyllus or something. I picked that up earlier on when they said something about Sibyllus, and I was like, isn't her teacher's name Sybil?
Yeah.
And
But
it's
then
just,
so she's there.
and then everything just sort of like stops.
They
a
come
little bit.
back. Yeah, they come back.
back.
She tells her to look under the bottom step, and they're wrapping up. And they get,
And Markham
Yeah.
actually lives. One that
Yeah.
dies actually lives.
yeah, just had his
The
legs
boy
shot
can-
off.
Yeah.
And then they come back, and it's just like, oh, by the way, under the 4th step, there should be Shakespeare's Lost Play and a few sonnets. But no, they actually killed the wrong queen. Queen Elizabeth was actually supposed to die, not Queen Mary of Scots.
That's what it's like. But
And-
also, one of the things I remember is they have a party, and there are 2 historians who one really has a thing for another, or 2 staff members, one really has a thing for another, and they're playing strip poker. And one who has a thing for another is butt naked. And Max is like, are those cards marked? And the one who's still wearing clothes is like, of
She's
course
like,
they
yeah.
are. I marked them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
could you guys please keep it in your trousers for 2 minutes?
Or keep it in your rooms.
Yeah, and that is how it ends, with a cliffhanger for the next book about Shakespeare. And I want
The
more
next book
about
is not about
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare, I hate to tell you. They're in
What's the next
Victorian
book?
London. They're in Victorian London stalking Jack the Ripper. But Jack the
I don't
Ripper
think
finds
that
them
would
first.
make me want to read it.
Well, I also like Jack the Ripper, so... And that is
Yeah.
the book. That is
In a
almost everything
nutshell.
that happens.
In a half
The
hour
Chief
nutshell.
and Max do get
Yeah.
back together, which brings me to my next point. Would you guys forgive the Chief for his behaviour after
I mean,
he
the
finds
dude's
out that
just-
Max had a miscarriage?
The dude has just come back from the Cretaceous. He didn't think he was going to see the present day again. Like, I can understand why he'd be angry that she didn't tell him, but I can also see from Max's point of view. But at the same time, yes, like, I can see both sides. Like, I understand why he's angry. Like, he's already lost 2 kids, and the fact that she's keeping something this big from him, it hurts. But at the same time, it's her body. Like, she should be able to make the decision. But
And there's also
being
criticizing
like a
for
couple.
her, so why should she have to say anything, like, if she's not ready to?
yeah,
So, yeah, and his reaction was completely, like, out of the blue and sort of out of character, in my opinion. Like, I know he's been through this whole thing, but, like, I
it
don't
didn't
know.
feel like Farrell
Yeah,
at all. It
didn't
felt
feel
like I can.
It felt
I can
like
get
how
that-
Sussman would react if it was her
Yeah.
and Sussman who had got together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Farrell had been the one died by raptors.
To be fair, like Farrell had been jealous of Sussman like throughout, and he really had no need to be. It was just like no. And I think that's what got to me a little bit is that yes, it's so out of character for him. Like he's so calm and genteel throughout the whole thing, and then suddenly he just loses it. Like yes, he's been through the most stressful thing that anyone could never imagine,
But
but
so
still,
has she.
like it felt like it was just shoehorned in for drama.
Yeah.
But
Like, it
also
felt
the
so out
fact
of
that he
character.
believes, like when Barclay tells him,
Yeah.
he believes that, and when
And also,
Max is trying to explain, he's like, "No, Barclay told me." It's like, why are you listening to her? She left you behind in the Cretaceous.
yeah, and also someone was saying like, oh, he always knew that you would, was it Peterson? Was
Yeah,
like
that
he
you'd
always
always
knew that you would be the one to rescue us. So even though it would have been very traumatizing, this experience being stuck with the dinosaurs, like he was on, he didn't seem to give up, and then he was right. She did come back and save them. So it's also, it makes it even more weird that his reactions like that, because then it's like, well, he never doubted her, so why is he doubting her now?
And
You
some
know?
of the things he says is so like, it's literally like this one thing completely changes his opinion of her. It's suddenly like,
Yeah.
you are horrendous, you're this person. It's like, well, I get it, but at the same time, she didn't even know she was pregnant, and then she suddenly finds out that within 20 minutes she's found out she's got a child, and she's found out she's lost it in the space of 20 minutes. She's also been
And she's
through
like close to dying because like
close to death
something's gone wrong.
anyway.
Yeah.
She's only just been like back,
Completely
and
on her own.
yeah, everything, like it's as if he's suddenly just not taken anything of her into consideration,
Yeah.
and everything that he says
also-
is so out of random, and it's so
Yeah.
so nasty, and it's like,
As
whoa.
yeah, as a writer as well, I don't know whether you picked up on this, Nori. She has a chest infection. I'm just thinking, is this where the super flu starts?
It's very
Yes.
odd, like the whole reaction
Is Max
to it
patient zero?
Probably.
I think
Like, is
it's
that the sequel,
justified, but
like-
it's not justified.
Yeah.
Mm.
It feels cheap. It feels like it's cheap drama for drama's sake when
And there's already enough going on.
yeah, and like those 2 characters should really be coming together and comforting each other at such a traumatizing time, really. And like I could imagine, like you would hope that your partner in that situation, knowing that you've just been through a miscarriage, which is one of the most horrific things a person can go through, be they the person carrying the baby or the person on the outside, it's horrendous. And you would think that yes, he's going to be hurting and yes, he's going to be angry, but he's like, why are you angry at her? Like, it's not her fault.
Mm.
And it's just like, yeah,
It makes you question, what did Barclay say? Because she probably knows how to twist words and
yeah,
just
because he mentions the fact, like, was it Sussman's? It was, you're a slut sort of thing. And it's just
Peterson
like,
as well. He suddenly gets all suspicious of Peterson. It's like, where's that come from?
Yeah.
That's not something that he would think of. It must have been Barclay saying,
And
"You do realise
also-
she's been sleeping around."
Also, maybe it would make sense. Never mind.
No.
Well, I was going to say it doesn't make sense for him to blame Peterson when he was stuck in the Cretaceous period, but then that timeline wouldn't make sense. But this book is really confusing with timeline, so that's why I was like, wait, no, never mind.
Mhm. Yeah,
Also,
the
like,
timeline is.
So, Nori, and to answer your question, I think I don't know if I would be wanting to. I would want to go into it with an intention of forgiveness because I'd want to hear from what kind of instigated that reaction from him. So, but I think there's no real kind of makeup period between Max and Chief. She just suddenly he just goes to bed, takes her bed
Oh,
and
yeah.
goes to sleep, and she brings up like tea and bacon butties and stuff and just leaves him, and then they're suddenly fine.
Mm.
So I think
They have that crying fest together.
yeah, I think if it was me, I would kind of want an explanation and an apology, but at the same time,
Yeah, me too.
I think I'd go in trying to understand the outburst and try and forgive because that's the way you got to go. Because I think in that situation you need to get through that together. So yes, I don't know.
At that point in the plot, it's just a bit of lazy writing, drama for drama's sake.
It is a bit, yeah.
It's like at that moment I was like, how far are we from the end? This is a lot.
Yeah,
And then I looked, like, how are we only like just over halfway? What is going on?
Yeah, like
It's a lot.
I think it would have been. I don't know. I know we sort of talked about it briefly, but like I quite liked the whole dinosaur period because that was like the one solid timeline thing that happened where
so
they were actually,
calming.
it kind of made sense like in the plot. Like everything kind of built up for this big thing that their first real task or whatever. But then looking at the cover, it's got the library, and I was like, well, where are the dinosaurs? It doesn't make any sense. Is this like an editing error? But no, they go back to Egypt and like this one.
I just have the dinosaurs.
You've got the dinosaurs, and then you've got the burning of World War One on the bottom.
Ours doesn't have dinosaurs.
Yeah, ours has just got a big clock in the library. And that's it.
Mine was really blurry.
And then the whole thing with like saving the books and stuff, like I like that as an idea, but that could have been the second book, you know?
Yeah.
Or even the, like you say, the dinosaurs could be the second book, the library could be the third, or something, you know?
Yeah.
It just feels way too much, and that's why I go back to these books here, which they have dinosaurs in the second book.
Dinosaurs.
Yay.
Anyway, yeah, but
Carry on, Nori.
I'm still reeling from my explanation of the plot, to be honest. But
Mood.
I only have one more question, which is the big question that this book poses. What is the horniest branch of academics? Because I think historians are right up there, because I know there's some that just research old-timey sexy stuff.
Hello, that's me. I'm going into queer history, and one of my proposed PhD topics is sexual deviancy in the ancient world and the Greek and Roman lexicon.
Love it.
Because
I
the
will
Greeks
need
are
a copy
kinky
of
as fuck.
that.
The Greeks are kinky as fuck.
Yeah,
I mean, just look at Zeus.
Just
Just look at Zeus.
Like, lots of people might think it's like the drama and acting form of academics, like the playwrights and all that. No, we're too busy staring into our own souls and wondering why we hate ourselves to be able to go anywhere near another person.
Having been in both the archaeology and the history and the classics departments, I can say that, there are quite a lot of things that go on in there that you do not want to think about. Several student-teacher relationships.
Well, there was only one of those in the drama department at our university, so I'm big ups to us. Only one for the drama department. Hooray!
And I'm pretty sure I know which one that one is, even though I was not directly I'm not a drama student, but I knew enough drama students.
It was the teacher everyone knew would, like the male teacher. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's fairly young and attractive," but also, twist of twist, his former wife also worked at the uni, still did, and the person he had the affair with got pregnant, and then they got married.
And then he
I
did it
think-
again.
Did he?
Yeah. This is not for we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
And then, but look, only the one person for the drama department.
Several.
Mm.
And a couple of essay incidents.
Wow,
I
the
don't
English
really have
department
an
was
answer
so
to-
boring.
I think we've proven this book is accurate on its horniness level of historians
Yeah.
and other
Yeah.
historical based academics.
I do actually have one more question, if you don't mind me
Yeah.
changing the
Go
topic.
ahead, yell it to the group.
I'm asking this on Zoe's behalf.
No.
Do it.
I'm gonna have to go back and find it because it made me cackle.
Didn't you send it to the group chat?
I don't know. Here we are. So do earthworms sneeze?
I'm not a biologist, but I don't think they have noses.
Hang on.
Are you Googling this?
I'm going
It's
to.
in the book. I didn't miss randomly. It's in the book. That's
Yeah.
what made me ask.
No, I remember something about it. What is it?
Something about earthworms sneezing.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Isn't it like you could hear an earthworm sneeze or something? I think it's like
Something like that.
that, yeah.
Ladybug I can understand. Earthworm.
Bear with me. I can't
I
share
even
my
asked my
screen.
dad like fully seriously, like, "Hey, Dad," and then I just couldn't stop laughing.
Rufus got involved a lot.
So, oh yeah, I don't think he would care. He was just looking
No.
like,
Oh, it was silly.
I've googled it and it's coming up with random stuff. So, and it's coming up as like parasitic worms. So,
Ugh.
yeah, let's talk for another day.
yeah. Some of them are interesting questions. So yeah, does anyone have anything else to add?
I feel like I definitely do, so I'm going to think on it for a hot second.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about the book. Like, wait, was there more about the addition of the Greek gods being canon?
So at least the muses, yeah.
At least, but she does mention, oh, Zeus is their dad. It's like, is Zeus?
Yeah.
Real? It's like,
Yeah.
Wait, if you're going to make the Greek gods canon, at least have someone praying to Zeus, just randomly. Just have a couple of things. So it's like, oh, these people, because they've been back in time and stuff, they found out that the Greek gods are actually real.
Mm.
So I would have preferred a little more into that instead of having it sideswipe me like a bus.
Noriism.
I didn't actually follow a lot. A lot of it I found a little confusing. So obviously with Chief, he obviously goes on about Thingy being his Lucy, and we're like, oh. And I just need to try and understand it. So he and Dr. Barstow in
Yeah,
my head.
Barstow.
Oh, here's Barrister in my head. Damn these audiobooks. They're from the future,
Yes.
and they know something's going to happen. But what is it that they know is going to happen? Is it
We don't
bad
know.
guy, villain man?
They
Yes.
know something bad happens to St. Mary's,
Ronan.
and it goes in a direction where it's like for profit and not for like history, and it goes like
They're
in a
changing the
bad,
timeline,
just
basically.
commercial way.
And they know about Max being pinnacle to that?
Yeah.
They're like, Max is important to that. We don't know why,
but
but we know she's important. I'm like,
Yeah.
thank you for series baiting.
And
Yeah,
then, because
They're ruining the timeline, basically.
Dr. Bairstow, Dr. Man, he used to be accomplices, all kind of worked with Ronan and the girl. Were they
He used to be an
historians?
historian. Yeah, he used to be an historian.
And then Thingamabobby died, and then they were in somewhere, and they said that he wanted to keep her
she was
there and
patient
follow
zero.
protocol. And then
Yeah.
he was like, "No, I'm taking her back," and then they fell out big time.
Yeah, she was patient zero. She basically came down with the virus, and Ronan was like, "We need to get her back."
It's like one of those
And-
historical ones that we don't have stuff to fix anymore.
Yeah, that the only places that have them are basically like Area 51 and places like that. That have,
I
and
think
a
more
couple of
needed
other
to be
places.
explored into Ronan and Bertha's relationship, because it was so like, I think it's quite a pinnacle plot, part of the
Sequel
plot,
dating.
but it's not explained enough to make it as much of an impact when he shows up at the end.
I
You're like,
do
"Oh, that
wish it
guy's
wasn't
back."
all about a girl.
Oh, standard.
It was all about a girl. Not
mean,
that
honestly,
girls aren't nice.
Why couldn't
know
it be about a boy?
I know we've talked
Or
about it a
just
bit
about
already and how it.
academic differences.
Mm.
But it
what I
kind
think
of
would have
was,
been
though, wasn't it? Sorry, Janet, you go.
And I was gonna say what could have been good is like he didn't have to be in the book at all. Like that would have probably made it less confusing. But he could have been alluded to, you know. So we have the backstory of what happened, but he doesn't have to make an appearance at all. Or maybe like they see him from dinosaurs, like, but they don't get involved, or you know.
Yeah.
So he's there, and then like and
they see him on the video footage.
Yeah.
With Sussman, but then like nowhere else because he's usually like Barclay's been fired.
Yeah.
He's a literal dark, shadowy figure.
Although we don't, you know, she who must not be named. Talking about he who must not be named. In the first, like, what, 3 books, Voldemort is alluded to, but we don't actually meet him until, what was it, the 4th one?
Except if you count him on the back of Quirrell's head.
He's in every single story apart from Prisoner of Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
But,
literally,
Oh, he's mentioned in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
But you don't actually see him, whereas in the others, the rest of he's in.
Yeah.
And I think, I forgot what I was going to say. Something to do with Ronan. Oh, did we ever kind of figure out if Sussman was in on it with Barclay? Because that's alluded to as well, but it's never confirmed.
Yeah, it's
Because
never
she suddenly gets her suspicions, doesn't she? She's like, Sussman and Barclay? But then that never actually gets...
I'm not sure. In my mind, Sussman wasn't in on it with Barclay. Sussman and Barclay were both taken in by the mean guy. Sussman first, because he tries to do all this stuff. Then Barclay after she gets her butt kicked out.
Yeah.
Because she was like, okay, I'm running this now. I'm in charge. I can get rid of Max. I can go back at some... Probably she was like, I can go back at some point and say, oh no, I've saved you, Chief Farrell. Now, look at me naked. That's what I imagined her being like. Her villain motivation is one of the... Lots of the villain motivations in this are just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
It is a shame because I actually quite liked Sussman as I was really disappointed when he ended up being a bad guy. I was like, oh no, but he was funny. I liked their destructive relationship was funny.
Yeah,
and
I was kind of hoping he'd be like the underdog a little bit, but
I didn't think he was actually dead. I messaged Nora and I said, I don't think Sussman's actually dead. But then because they make you, it's such a nasty, and I was like, actually, I think he's probably still going to be there. But that does happen, but later on, doesn't it? Because she's like, all 4 of them are dead, but actually they're not. They're still there. So I knew it was going to happen at one point, but I did think it was Sussman because I thought, because I didn't think he was going to be. I didn't think he was going to actually be a bad guy. So I thought, oh no, he'll actually still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that as well.
I can't breathe. But so I did quite like Sussman as a character, but my question that I've just thought of now, do you think that the mass there's so many characters to begin with, do you think it's actually necessary, because all she does is put them in there just to kill them off? What do you think the impact of that, what was the intention of doing that? Because if you're going to put so many characters in, at least give them a reason to be there, not just to kill them on because they're killed off or they leave so quickly. Is it just for effect to show the intensity of the job, or because it just seems a little bit unnecessary to bring all these characters in just to kill them off straight away?
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing something like in the first Throne of Glass, which is literally a competition to be the king's champion, to basically be like his assassin, and there's also something running around killing off the competitors, and it kind of works towards the main hero's end goal, like that works in that there's these 12 characters that are literally introduced and 90% of them die before the end of the book. But that's kind of like, it's meant to be like that.
Yeah.
I do definitely agree with you that they all just get introduced as cannon fodder. And there are other series that have done it well, like Attack on Titan does it well. You get to know these characters before they die, and then it hurts when they die. The only 3 characters that you can really get to know, and well, actually, it's not even that. One of them nearly dies multiple times. There's one character that you can always be sure that she will survive, and that is Mikasa, because she's a freaking badass. Everybody else, you do not grow accustomed to, because they will die, or they will nearly die. And I definitely think sorts of series do it a lot better, because these characters are literally just introduced, and then you know them by name, but that's it. You don't get to know their personality. I think they're not given enough time to shine. I think if Nori, like you said, this had been split into 3 books, like, or I hate to say this, but if it had been expanded on and was like a 600-page, like Dune, like a massive epic, it could have been.
I would not have read it.
Priory. This one over here.
Well, like Priory, yeah.
Oh my god, the size of that thing.
So good though, actually. I read it in 2 weeks. It's 800 pages. It's doable.
Every character is given time to shine, though, in Priory, and when people die, you feel it.
Yeah.
And I think literally with this, they're just not given the time to shine, and I think it does the characters a disservice, because I really would have liked to have got to know so many of them. I mean, the ones that left, that didn't graduate, I suppose there is a potential that they could come back, but I'm not sure.
Because they suddenly say there's a load of new trainees, doesn't it? At the end, there's like all the new trainees are at the back of the hall. It's like, when did they arrive?
When did they arrive? Who are they? Why are they? What are they?
And also, what would have been nice to see, like, again, sort of about this whole make this longer or whatever. Like, obviously, we mentioned their training, and then suddenly it feels like it's just 5 years later when you turn the page. Like, it would have been nice to see Max progressing up the ranks almost, because like you get the impression that people are respected in a lot of ways.
Or to have timestamps.
Yeah,
like
all that.
You turn a page and it's a blank page that just says 5 years later.
Yeah, or have it in parts or something.
5th year at St Mary's.
Yeah.
Like, first year at St Mary's, second year at St Mary's. Like,
or it could have been like the
like that.
name of the chapter, you know, like.
Yeah.
Is it this series? I can't remember. Let me double check.
It sort of has a thing that I'd like to call a watered down George R.R. Martin.
That's good.
Say what you want
as an example, Time Riders. This is the last book, but the chapters, because it's a time travel series. Chapter 22, First Century Jerusalem. You know, so you're following. It makes that, you know, that would be helpful in that book.
A small period of study.
Jerusalem.
Well, if you want to read the series, let me know. I've got them.
First century Jerusalem, 70 AD. Titus sacks the temple, and I wrote a whole dissertation on him.
That'd probably annoy you then reading that book.
It depends on if it's done well.
I would say it's done well, but I read them when I was a teenager, and it's been a while, so.
I wrote my whole dissertation on his presentation in modern media, so as well.
No, well, I can link to the first one. The first one's not about Jerusalem; it's about World War II. But
not my period. That's fine.
I love World War II and World War One. The World Wars I love in the most appropriate way of phrasing of that. That statement.
It's a genre of fiction. I will read it.
Yeah, I read so much World War history. It's like just to bring her up, Diana Jeffries, a lot of her work is in that kind of period, and actually any kind of historical fiction. A lot I read so much of like World War. I think this book, this series could really benefit from doing. Because I quite enjoyed the bit about when they're at the hospital. I think she could very easily do a book or half a book with her on exploring like the trenches. How cool would it be to have her and like Max and Peterson or someone? Well, actually Max wouldn't be in it because she's a woman, but Peterson or someone in the trenches.
By the end of it, the British Army were employing women in the trenches because they were so desperate.
I think that would be for me, just on my interest, that would be really interesting. So I think as I say, I wasn't like the book was fine, but her concept was actually quite interesting. Like the pods going back to, who was it that said about wanting to understand the technology of the pods more and things like that, spending more time Jess. That could be really cool. I think her idea is actually really clever. She just gets very hung up in bringing in romance, and like what's my brain? COVID brain, and drama and things like that, and all these kind of extra things she wants to happen in the storyline. Whereas if she just stuck with her idea, actually, I think
Max goes into it as a complete newbie, and she has no idea that time travel is possible. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm in training to travel through time. There's no adjustment period like you would expect. Like even in Doctor Who, when the companions first see the TARDIS, they go out, they go in, they go out, they go in. It's bigger on the inside. Oh God, time travel's real. There's still about 2 or 3 minutes of them coming to terms with it. It's a page flip, and it's like, yeah, I'm training.
Yeah, it's as if like because it's St Mary's is supposed to be this massive secret, right? So she comes in and she said has no like you're pulling my leg. This is rubbish. There is no such thing as time travel. You know, she's just like, okay, cool, sick. It's like no, because if it's such a huge secret and all you've done is history, not all you've done, but you know, like is standard history. Someone suddenly randomly saying, hey, come to this creepy building that's got St Mary's as a name, which sounds like a high school, and then
also sounds like a sanatorium.
Exactly. Meet an old man that everyone keeps saying she hasn't had the interview yet, just to be told about time travel, and she's like, okay.
Yeah. I would lose my mind if I was told, yeah, no, you can go back to the Great Fire in Rome and save stuff, or see Titus open the Colosseum. I would lose my mind.
I'd think you were lying.
Because, literally.
It's like, you
on
go
crack.
back and see Shakespeare and lick his face. What?
Sure.
If I could go back to anywhere, I would go back to when the Colosseum first opened, because we have one contemporary account of a gladiatorial combat, and it ended in a freaking draw. So we don't know if we think the whole emperor doing that thing, you live or you die, is completely false. But we have no idea, because nothing is contemporary, and it drives me nuts. So if I had that choice, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would learn Latin purely to do this.
Where would you go? That's actually quite a cool question. Where would you go if you could go back into history? Just to the Colosseum.
Yes.
You'll know
Meet
where
my boy Titus.
You know exactly who I would go with.
Well, you'd go back to
and I would
Willie
show him
Shakes.
my arm.
Willie Shakes.
I just want to see him. I just want to stare at his face.
Yeah.
And
I have no idea where I would
want
go.
to thank him.
Are you gay, Shakespeare?
And then I would go and be taken to be burnt as a witch. And that would be worth it.
Janet,
I kind of feel like, I don't know.
My cat's yowling. Let him in.
Oh, Dookie baby.
I can hear
I'm
him.
tempted to say sometime in the Victorian period, just because I think it's really fascinating, but I don't have a specific period or thing that I would want to see. Nothing really comes to mind.
I would also want to be Oscar Wilde.
Oh my god, that'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Emily
And Freddie Mercury. I think I just
yeah.
want a list of people I want to meet and then cry at and then run away before I'm burnt as a witch.
I'll be right back.
I was looking for my copy of Catcher in the Rye and I put it on my little trolley. Found it.
I also think I've worked out how I would split this book into 3.
Oh yeah.
So having it be in the first bit all the way up until after the hostel, and they've just learned, oh, it's like, we've got an important job for you here. Baby!
Baby! It's the Dookie baby!
Look at the
so
sweet
cute.
fluff.
He's such an old boy.
To them, like, them being given, we need you to go back and look at dinosaurs for 3 months. End of first book.
Yeah.
Second book, prepping for dinosaurs. All the fun with dinosaurs. All the bad stuff that happened after the dinosaurs. And then that one ends like saving the guys from the Cretaceous, but ends with them finding the dead pinecone from the Cretaceous. And them going, do you know what this means? It's like, I think I do. Cut. Third book is the rest of this book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how it should have been split.
Yeah.
Given a lot more time. And that is my professional opinion. as a non-professional idiot.
Thank you.
That's the t-shirt I'm getting you for your birthday.
Not very incestuous mushroom.
We need to get book club t-shirts with that on.
I actually have already thought about that. I did actually do a look about getting hoodies or something for us with a novel bunch on it, but I didn't get very far.
I think it just needs a collection of quotes. Like,
Yeah.
it can't just be the one quote.
Kind of like a brownie badge, you know, back in the day when you had your brownie stash and you sewed your badges on every time you achieved something.
Oh
We
my
could have,
goodness, yes. We have to have
like iron
catapulted
quotes
mole.
onto it.
Yeah.
100%.
This is the epitome of catapulted mole.
Oh yeah, but it's going back and forth. It's kind of like on a seesaw. This poor baby.
But
Such a
this one,
my
it's not a
God.
catapult, it's landmines.
This discussion is just so far derailed where it started. Should
But
we
to be
stop while
honest,
we're ahead?
Jess, that's kind of actually quite in keeping with the tone of this book.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're derailing
Yeah.
that far because this
Well, yeah,
book
that's
is
true.
so mad. It's so all
That's-
over the place.
Very true.
So I think it's fine.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about?
Probably, but
Nothing comes to mind.
No.
there's
My
not
brain
much
is
to
just-
discuss with it, is it? Really, there's not really
Mm.
any kind of.
A lot happens, but a lot doesn't happen as well.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those books that you yell the plot at someone, which I did.
Which we did.
For half an hour.
Yeah, half an hour of yelling the plot at you,
It's
and
one of
then
those books that
someone
you-
going, "Wait, what?" It's like, wait, go back to that bit. It's like, I can't. I start, I finish. It's gone from my
Yeah.
brain.
It's one of those that you have to experience to
Mm.
fully
so.
understand.
Be
do
interesting as a
recommend,
TV
like-
series, wouldn't it?
Hmm?
What
I
are we
do quite
recommending?
recommend. I'm going to see if it's on my library app.
What
What?
did you say, Zoe? Because you both
Um,
talked at the same time and I couldn't distinguish.
Sorry, I said it would be quite interesting as a TV series.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I think it would maybe be a bit easier to
Like,
follow.
A
I
10
don't know.
episode season of just this, you could really expand on so much.
Yeah.
Mm.
Two
Yeah,
episodes just for the training, like 2 or 3, like leading up to Peter, like including Peterloo and leading up to like Max going back with Peterson as well to London, and then
You'd finish up one episode of like saying they're going to go to Alexandria and then leave it on like a cliffhanger. So the next episode is them going to Alexandria.
yeah.
Okay. This is something I recently discovered and I've been binging, but my library has a app that you can get where you can borrow audiobooks and ebooks, and
Mhm.
basically
You
the
can.
whole Chronicles of St. Mary is on there.
Nice.
And I recommend, like,
Is that the Libraries West app?
I think so.
Hi.
No, mine's called BorrowBox.
I'm Libraries West.
I think I had that too, but then it went, go here and then go to BorrowBox. It's just like, but I do recommend, like, even listening to it. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, pause it for a moment, digest, keep going, because you don't want to stop, because it is just one damn thing after another. And apparently, like, the full series is on here. I scrolled through and there was like all of the different covers.
Mm. Yeah, let me see. Symphony of Echoes. Yeah. Yeah, it's on shelf in Sherborne, so I might end up picking it up. Yeah, they're all over the place. So anyway, shall we wrap it up there? Because we're starting to
Yes.
derail.
Such a derail. I'm very tired.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't eaten yet.
Me neither.
Don't-
Oh my goodness, go get some food.
So
It's right, it's
Has-
ready. I just haven't done it yet.
Has anyone got March's pick to hand? Zozo does. So we're going to be reading Billy Connolly's new autobiography, Windswept, and what is it?
Interesting.
Windswept and
Windswept
interesting.
and Interesting.
Has anybody else finished it?
not
Yeah.
yet.
I
I'm-
haven't
yet.
started.
You haven't started. Okay, I finished it, but only because I've got COVID, so I can't go to work, so I've been sat reading it. So what I would say is, for anybody that hasn't started it, or for anyone that is gonna read it with us, trigger warnings are quite important in this one. There is talk of abandonment, sexual abuse, domestic no, actually, no, not domestic abuse, sexual abuse, just abuse in general, verbal abuse, fighting, poverty. What else is there?
What we'll do is we'll put together
homophobia, things like that. There's lots and lots of stuff in it.
We'll
But
put together a Twitter post and
will.
have all of that on, and also a post on Instagram, and we'll put it in our stories.
Yeah, because I can't remember all of it.
Just
But there is
hearing
a
that
lot.
makes me want to give him a hug, unless he's the one bit doing
that's
bad
the thing.
things,
I think
but I don't want to give him a hug.
It's very difficult with, I think, when you read like a novel, obviously you have these trigger warnings and things, and you're like, that's really sad. But I think when it's an autobiography, you're like, it hurts even that little bit more. But at the same time, you've got to just read it and appreciate his life and understand that this was him and what he's had to go through.
I'm just saying, I'm going to be doing the audiobook when it focuses.
Do you let me know if it's him reading it?
It is him reading it.
Oh, that's going to make you cry.
But he is just the most fabulous human, so I'm very excited. I mean, as I say, I've already finished it, but yeah.
So yes, that is our March book club pick. You can check out in the link in the description below. You will see all of our books that we have for the year coming up. You will see that a couple are TBD, to be determined, but we also have a randomizer couple of months because we're now down to 5 people. Grace, our other member, she couldn't keep up. She couldn't commit anymore. She's very, very busy, which is totally fine. We totally understand that. But it just meant we had 2 months open up. So what we're going to do is a Wheel of Fortune style live show at some point in April.
We have
so
to dress
that we
fancy.
so that we can determine which months is it, July and August. So it'll be between April and June. We'll do this live show. We're going to have a Wheel of Fortune style wheel. We will spin it. All 5 of us will put forward 1 book. Whoever gets picked for July will be taken off of the wheel. So there'll be 4 books going into August, and then we'll decide for those 2 months what we're going to read. I have already decided on mine. I have 2 possible picks. I will get them now.
I've got one.
I have a shelf right next to me of all the book club books. My randomizer pick is the Cat Who Saved Books because it's got a cat.
It looks like my
books.
cat. And actually, Janet's cat. It looks a little bit like Janet's cat too.
He does. I was using one.
It's translated fiction, which I'm quite into actually.
We're just using 1 book, right? Just 1 book.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Just one.
This is the one
I'm just still trying to decide.
City of Brass.
I want to read that one.
That would be my choice.
How chunky is it? Because I'm being fair and nice, and you've got
Okay,
chunky books, aren't you?
It is on the smaller side, but it's not tiny. Okay, not including the glossary, actual story, it's 526 pages. Oh, I found a bookmark.
Not too bad. It's about Legendborn.
So, I don't know.
So, my 2 are...
217.
My 2 are either going to be
nice.
Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman, which
got that
Janet put in the group chat about, and I read
that one? Okay.
I read the blurb and I was just like, I'm sold. Or I was speaking to Mariette this weekend because she came down to see me. And
we didn't give Mariette's review.
We'll do that in a second.
Carry on. Yeah, carry on.
And she was really interested in reading this, and I've read it, so it would be a reread. But I haven't actually put forward a reread at all throughout the whole history of the book club. Circe by Madeline Miller.
Oh, that's on my TBR, to be fair.
That's one of the ones I could get on my Doobly.
This will be also easier to get through a library, so because it's not a new book. Also, having now read The Song of Achilles, I forgot that there is a Song of Achilles Easter egg in this, and it's going to hurt if I reread this.
Oh, I cried at that.
I didn't cry too much because I knew the myth, but still, my babies. So they're my 2 picks. Either is going to be Greek myth. Either way.
Kitty.
Just chilling.
Zoe, any ideas for your?
I haven't picked December yet, have I?
No, you haven't picked
Oh,
December.
you've got time. It's December.
And also, you need to put forward a randomizer. But,
Just one?
yeah, just one. Like I say, I haven't decided between these 2.
The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I haven't read it yet.
Ooh, my mum's actually got that.
That's gonna hurt.
It's there. My dad's read it, and a lot of people I know have read it actually. But it's been on my radar. I've literally just turned around and seen it. So there you go. Tattooist of Auschwitz.
Okay.
by Heather Morris. Heather Morris.
Awesome. Do you want to do the honors and read out Mariette's review for Just One Damn Thing?
Okay, so Mariette wasn't feeling up to the show tonight. She's a bit sleepy, so she sent us her
She's
review.
driven back from Dorset, so
She has. She's had a very busy few days.
2.5 driving.
So she said, my review in short form is timeline is confusing.
Yes.
Sussman is a jerk.
Yes.
And they did not spend enough on how. This is where I read it. And they did not spend enough on how the pod works or in each time era. Also pacing, but a fun story overall.
Pretty much all agreed it's a fun story, but by
Yeah.
God, shit's confusing as hell.
Let's have a look. Mariette. I don't think she updated it on Goodreads. No, she hasn't.
This is our April book.
Was it April?
She did give it 3.
Nine
Yeah.
books. What's it called?
That's
Yeah.
April.
Oh, is that our April one? Whose
Yeah.
choice is that? Yours, Nori?
Mariette.
Oh, Mariette.
This one was my choice. I'm not getting April 2.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sorry, the one we've just discussed.
This was Mariette's choice.
Okay.
Anyway.
So yes,
I will put back on my
March
yeah.
is my boy Billy.
Billy Connolly for March. We'll be doing that at the start of April. We will be doing our live show at the start of April. It will happen.
Yes,
we
we were a
I
bit
might not
lax
be
this
at the
time.
live show at the start of April, as I will be performing in a weird random pantomime.
Well, we'll try and fix it so everyone's here. But
Yeah.
it won't be the end of April, is it?
I might be able
so
to
yeah.
do a Sunday evening, but I will.
We'll talk
be
about that
full.
later. We'll talk about that later.
3rd of April is out for me because Attack on Titan finale is happening. So anyway, Billy Connolly next month. Home box at the end as well for April. May is Jack's pick. This is all in the description, so go and check it out. Thank you very much for watching and listening to us waffle on for an hour and a half. And stay safe. We will see you all very soon. Goodbye, folks.
Bye. Oh, she's gone.
Oh, she disappeared, and we're still live.
We're still live.
Still live. How do we
How
turn
do
it off?
Jess, come back. Oh, there she
I
is.
realised I left the studio and didn't end the podcast.
We were just like, oh.
Now we're going.
Now we're going. Bye.